Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. This is Heidi from My Reading Life, and I'm here today to film a recent and current reads video with a touch of TBR. It is Sunday, February 3rd. It's Super Bowl Sunday in the United States, which means that I will be hosting our annual Super Bowl party tonight, which will involve lots of food and guys yelling about football because the New England Patriots are in the game, and this is, of course, New England. And me and my girlfriends playing Rummy Cube while all that's going on. So looking forward to that, and although that has left me with less reading time than I would have liked this weekend, and the previous week I was able to complete 3 books, but they're books that I've been working on throughout the month of January. January was, as you know, a less than productive reading month for me. I ended up only reading a total of 7 books for January, which is fairly low for me. I like to get in around at least 10 books a month, but still not terrible, obviously. And I will post a picture up here of the reason why I didn't get so much reading in. It is my daughter's senior year of high school, and she plays on her varsity basketball team. She's the captain. And so we have been trying to go to all of her basketball games this year, since it is the last year that she'll be playing on the basketball team. So it's fun, but it leaves less time for reading. But oh well. It only happens once, and we love to watch her play sports. So I did, as I said, finished 3 books this week. The first of which is a book that I talked about last time. This is The Court Dancer by Kyung-Sook Shin. I was buddy reading this with Doris. This book did not get any better for me. I ended up really not liking this book very much at all. It is historical fiction set in Korea around the late 1800s with a French diplomat falling in love with a Korean court dancer. And it's all about their relationship in the midst of the bigger, broader political world of Korea trying to bring itself into, basically they had shut themselves off from the rest of the world diplomatically and trade-wise, and they're trying to enter the world in a way that makes sense for their country, and France is trying to obviously build their empire and keep their empire. So it's all about those sort of politics. Nobody comes off very well in this book, and the language was too flowery for me. The writing, I don't know if it was a translation issue or what. I couldn't connect. As I've said before, it was bordered on purple prose for me, which is a term from the romance reading community. And I don't really want to say very much about the ending because I don't want to spoil it for anybody who does want to read this book, but I hated the ending of this book so much. I just hate a book that's unrelentingly bleak and tragic and without hope. I'm just going to leave it there. So this book did not work for me. I then finished a book that did work for me, and it worked for me extremely well, my first 5-star read of the year, and that is Becoming by Michelle Obama. I listened to this on audio. Michelle Obama narrates the book herself, and it's absolutely fantastic. Everybody is right. You don't need my encouragement, I'm sure, to read this book. If you were going to read it, you were already going to read it. But it's excellent. It's so inspirational. It is so heartwarming. Just everything about it was awesome. I really felt so connected to the book. I didn't expect that at all. So many things in Michelle Obama's personality mirror my own. Her drive to succeed, her wanting to please people, her focus, and like especially in the younger part of her life when she was a student through through high school and into college, having a plan for her life and being driven to succeed and wanting to succeed and determined that she's going to succeed no matter what anybody has to say about it, and knowing that she wants to follow a certain path and succeeding in all of that, and then getting to her adult life, so-called, with her work job and all that, and realizing maybe this isn't what I want after all, and then having to reevaluate and decide what's important to you and make scary choices about how to proceed with your life. I have been there, and I felt so connected to her struggles in that area. The other thing that I really, I mean, she just has such compassion and grace. How she responded to having the eyes of the world on her in a way that she never wanted. She never wanted any of it. It was Barack's dream to be a leader and to be a politician and to be on the national stage. It was never anything Michelle wanted. And to hear how she handled that with grace and dignity, it was just so inspirational. She's just a wonderful person and just an amazing gift to this country. And yeah, it just makes you realize all that we have lost in the last few years. And the other thing I really liked about it, and I will stop waxing on about it because I know that's obnoxious, but I loved how realistic she was about her husband. Like, he is still just a guy that leaves his dirty socks on the floor, right? He's still just the guy that's not home for dinner when he says he's going to be home because he got caught up in something at work. And she had to come to grips with that. You know, she had to come to grips with the fact that he wasn't going to live up to all of her ideals as a husband and as a family man. And not to say that he is not supportive and doesn't love her or their children, but she had an idea of what marriage was going to be like, and he didn't share that idea, and he is not perfect. And we often think of him as being perfect, those of us who like Barack Obama and like the kind of president he was. He's often glorified, right? And she really lays it out there like, dude isn't perfect. You know, he's got his faults. He's a great man and he has done wonderful things, but not perfect. So I love that part about it as well. And then after reading The Court Dancer, I needed something fun and light, and so I picked up the next installment that I had to read in the long-running J.D. Robb series, Secrets and Death, which follows Detective Eve Dallas and her husband Rourke as they solve crime in a future New York City. This is like book 30-something in a long-running series, so I'm not going to talk about it. If you like police procedurals with a little bit of futuristic sci-fi aspects to it, but great characters that all continue to reappear in and out of the books throughout a long-running series, you'll probably like this sort of thing. Steve Donahue, for his last Friday Reads video, had gotten the most recent book in this series, and he was really funny in talking about how it's been ongoing since the 1800s, and it follows the naming convention of in death. Like, Al Gore invented the internet in death, and it just made me laugh. And but yeah, I love these books, and they're always great when I need a little break from heavier reads. I am now reading a bunch of books, and I'm still continuing my Grant biography. I did make some progress in that over the last week. Nowhere near finished, but I am charging on with it, and it's going well. My audiobook is my buddy read with Patrice for Black History Month. We're reading Harbor Me by Jacqueline Woodson. The last Jacqueline Woodson book I read was Brown Girl Dreaming, which I also listened to on audio, and it's like a prose poem format, and it was beautiful. I loved it, and so I've been wanting to read more Jacqueline Woodson. So when Patrice suggested we read Harbor Me, I was in for it very much, and I'm listening to it on audio. It follows 6 kids who are like 11 years old in school. They've been put into a special classroom because they're struggling in school for various reasons. They're all very diverse characters. And the audiobook is great because each of the 6 kids has his or her own narrator. And so the voices are all different, and it's really fantastic. And so these 6 kids are thrust together in this classroom with an unconventional teacher. And as they begin to learn more about each other, they begin to see how they're connected and how they're different from one another. And they're beginning to learn a lot about the wider world that they're going to have to inhabit as adults. It's amazing. I am loving it so much. I'm about halfway through with it already. It's I guess it's probably a middle grade book, but it's so good. It's so good. I would highly recommend it already, and I'm only halfway through. I'm also reading an ebook on my Kindle, and that is An American Sickness. I've forgotten the author's name, but I'll include the image here. And this is a nonfiction book all about the American healthcare system. I'm about, I don't know, 15 or 20% of the way into that, and it is super interesting, filled with facts about the healthcare system that I did not know. I mean, I know because I participate in that system that it's incredibly frustrating and really expensive, and doesn't deliver what it purports to deliver all the time. But to see how it has evolved into the mess that it is today, and to understand the driving forces behind it, is so enraging. Oh my God. But it's really excellently written, and very engaging, so I am really enjoying that as well. And then I am reading a fantasy novel. This is The Grace of King by Ken Liu, and this is book 1 in the what's this series called, like the Dandelion something or other, I think is the name of the series. I can't remember what this trilogy name is, but anyway, this is book 1. I am buddy reading this with Mercedes over at Mercy's Bookish Musings, and it is a tome. It is over 600 pages long. I'm into it by about 100 pages, and you know, it's hard to say at this point because it's fantasy, and so we're doing all of our world building and learning all of the characters. It is very propulsive. I am enjoying the pacing of it. It is easy to follow. The names of everybody, of course, are difficult for me. I'm terrible with pronunciation, but there's a nice little pronunciation guide in the beginning, as well as a list of characters and a map, which I love because that helps you center yourself in this world, which is, the setting is what's really cool about it. It's in an Asian-inspired setting, and so that's very different for me. The only thing that it's kind of bothering me about this book so far, and like I said, I'm only 100 pages in, is there's very few women in it. All of the main characters so far are men, and so that's a little bit frustrating, but we shall see. Maybe that will change, but am enjoying it as a fun fantasy read at this point. Now, it is Black History Month, and so I do have some books that I have put aside on my TBR to try to get through that are on my physical shelves to be read. So I have those, and plus I want to participate in Brown Girl Dreaming's read along for Black History Month, which is I am completely blanking on the name of the story. I will again stick it there, and I will link her video down below that tells all about the read along. The thing I remember, I haven't started the book yet, and I want to start it soon because I need to read the first 135 pages this week. And what the heck is the name of that book? I hate it when stuff goes out of my brain. But anyway, it's a retelling of Dangerous Liaisons. So it sounds awesome. It takes place in New York City, I believe. The entire cast of characters are African American, so it's going to be awesome. Looking forward to that. I am also going to be finishing up this collection of African American poetry, which I started, as you can see from my bookmark, last year during the POC-a-thon. And I am over halfway through this, so it shouldn't take me too long to finish this up, and I'm glad to be working on that again. And then I have 2 other reads that I'd like to get to this month, if possible. One is building on my completion of Becoming by Michelle Obama. I have Dreams from My Father by Barack Obama. This was his first book. I read his book, The Audacity of Hope, back when he was a candidate for the first time for president, just to learn more about him, and really liked his writing style at that time. So I picked this one up years ago in a library book sale or something like that, and it's been, you know, languishing on my shelves ever since. And because I liked Becoming so much by Michelle Obama, it's gotten me interested again in the Obama family, and so I figured it'd be a great time to read this one. And then I also would like to read The Immortal Life of Henrietta Lacks by Rebecca Skloot, which, you know, everybody has read but me on BookTube. And I had started this book years ago and gotten, you know, like 75 or 100 pages into it and got distracted by something else. It was totally me. It was not the book, because this is my kind of book, right? This is about science. This is about a woman who's in the 40s or 50s who goes to the doctor in 1951. She goes to the doctor and they take some of her cervical cells, and she has cancer. and take her cells and start doing research with them and never tell her. And her family does not know this until, far after she has passed away. And they are never compensated for the use of those cells. And the cells become the HeLa cells, which are used in all kinds of medical research. They've gone to space and all this stuff. They're incredibly important to medical science. And her family was simply not told that they were taken from her or compensated for them at all. So super interested in this story and really wanting to finally get to this book that's been on my shelves for far too long. So that's where I'm at with my reading. Currently, I'm very excited. I feel like I'm in a place where my reading is going really well, and I'm hoping that the month of February will be much more productive for me in terms of reading. And I hope that all of you are doing very well on this fine Sunday and that you're finding lots of great books to read as well. I'll talk to you later.